Hi everybody, welcome back with Acrylics by Michael Farrar. Last week I was working on this sky for this piece I was working on. I wasn't happy, so while you weren't looking, I repainted the sky and I'm lots more happier. So we'll start that tree today. And I've looked at this one and the sky is still too dark, so I'm gonna lighten it up some. I'm gonna do away with this building and put some trees in here, just to give some more color variation. And I'm going to start with mixing a little cobalt and ultramarine blue with some white, probably a lot more white than anything, to get that light blue I keep striving for. When you're trying for a light color, it's easier if you add the color to white than adding white to the color, because adding white to the color just makes the pile get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't need all that paint. So just cut off a little bit of, in my case, blue, and then add white to that. So basically you're adding blue to white, and that should get you where you want to be. We'll lighten that a little bit more. We'll make sure I have enough. And again, if I don't mix that all the way up on the palette, it's called marbling, which can create some really interesting effects. Amber, did we have any pictures or comments or questions this week?
Now, somebody mentioned that they were working on like an ocean scene and they were using different things to do texture, like they were using sponges and stuff, and so it was working really great.
That it was or wasn't?
That it was.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, acrylic lends itself so well to so many different techniques. Yeah, see, that's more where I want to be. So I'm just gonna make this last house back here disappear. Mix up the paint a little thicker to cover up what I had on there last week. Even the white down here is showing through. I don't care if the sky is the same color blue throughout, because it isn't always that way in nature. But I would like it to be semi-close in my painting. And again, I'm never painting just left to right. If I paint over something, that's okay, because I can correct it later with the next color that goes on. Okay. I wasn't happy with this last week, so I'm going to concentrate on that right now. Going to use that same sky blue and just a little tiny bit of alizarin to that to make it sort of a bluish lavender. Get too much red going, not what you want. Since it's in shadow, it's going to be in the blues, not the reds. I'm doing lavender because I think it's more colorful and more interesting if you do that than just gray, which a lot of people would probably gravitate towards. Be careful adding that alizarin so you don't get too warm of a color. So again, all these sides of the building that are in the same facet are going to be the same color. white to that, guys. And again, I always sneak up on that addition of white, just like I do black, because a little bit goes a long way. And once you get it, okay, once you get it in there, you can't get it out. You either gotta scrape it off, wipe it off, or wait till it dries and then paint over it.
You have the heat rolling in here.
That problem is solved. Yeah, I like that better. It's lighter than what was there. It's bluer than what this color is. It'll work just fine. Once I get going on this tree and the smaller branches, I may sit down just so I can brace my hand better. We'll see how that goes. On the one with the blue sky. One thing that bothered me last week was this line right here. I couldn't tell if it was straight on the white side or on the lavender side, or if the door was off. I still can't tell. So I'm going to grab a straight edge here in a second and just see which of the three is correct and go by it. For that straight edge, I'm going to use a piece of tape. It wasn't much, but it was enough to bother me. That's what matters. You have to like what you're doing a lot more than I have to like what you're doing. Because if you're not happy, nobody's happy. Sort of smooth that out because I gotta go back and put some windows in there. Okay, much better. So, I'm gonna get my brush good and clean. I'm gonna put some more pure white on the white side of the house. Excuse me. Don't have any problems with congestion until I get here for some reason. Must be something in the heating and cooling.
Yeah, this is an old building, there's no telling.
Got some wood in there. This sounds crazy, but I'm gonna add just a little tiny bit of yellow to this white side of the house. Because it's gonna warm it up. And really make it look like it's in direct sunlight. Excuse me again. I mentioned in class one time that if you get up early and watch the news programs, you the reporters always stand there in front of the White House, and the way the White House is situated, when the sun comes up, it looks yellow, and the shadows look blue. And this woman looked at me like I had grown a third eyeball, but it really does look that way at that hour of the day. So this little dormer is going to be the same. I'm a great student of history. I've been reading this book about how Winston Churchill saved civilization. And some of the goofs that the British made during the Second World War, I'm surprised they ever had together enough to have an empire. At one time they had Rommel, the desert fox, outnumbered 20 to 1, and they still couldn't catch him.
20 to 1.
I'm looking at this building. This right here's got to be this color. Hopefully I have enough left. Again, it's in that same plane, same facet, so it's going to be the same color. You do this so you get the sense of these corners being 90 degrees. You've got to paint the shadows so you can see everything else. You gotta have light so you can see the dark, and vice versa. It's actually the light in a painting that informs us of stuff, that helps identify objects and sets moods and all that good stuff, but it's the darks in a painting that helps move our eye from left to right, top to bottom, the way we view a painting. So it's like a framework, how it holds the painting together for us. Go ahead and throw a couple more rocks in this building here. And go with some gray ones. It's always good to mix up the colors when you do a rock wall. Because rocks come in such a variety of shapes and colors. These were probably just field stones found on the property or neighboring property, so nothing fancy, nothing imported. I watch this old house on Saturdays on Educational, and the way it's changed over the years is fascinating, because originally it was a way for average people to improve their own homes with sweat equity. And now it's basically people with very fat wallets who hire them to come in and do what they want done to their homes. And I'm talking, you know, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of improvements, maybe $1 million. So it's not you and me anymore, it's like the other half. I mean, it's still an interesting show, but what made me think of this is the other day they were talking about a house in Massachusetts. Oh yeah, well we imported that stone from Indiana. Well, why couldn't they use the stone from the nearest quarry? No, they had to have stone specifically from Indiana. You know, most of the buildings in DC, you know, the Capitol and the White House and the Federal Reserve and all those buildings, they're built out of Indiana limestone. But probably cost a lot less back then to make chunks of usable limestone and ship it by rail.
They're coming for you again.
I'd say hide me, but I think it's too late. I was watching the news the other night, and a lady was charged with stabbing a man, something like 8 times, I think. She had a scar on her head right here. Well, her lawyer had a scar on his head right here. I thought, what a strange coincidence.
Yeah.
It's almost the color of the mortar. You gotta go a little darker. I've seen pinkish stones and bluish stones and green hued stones. It just depends on where they're dug up or where they're found on the surface. I think some of the prettiest stonework I've ever seen is up in the northeast of America, where they do all the dry laid walls with no mortar used. And there's lots of rocky fields up there to choose to stone from, you know, to get it out of the farmer's way so they can plow and plant a lot easier. They dig them up and use them as dividing lines between Farmer Mac and Farmer Bob. Worked out real nicely. And they're still standing because they're well constructed whenever they were built hundreds of years ago. I'm just sort of dabbing these on to break up all this gray that I did first that act as the mortar between these rocks. And I'm sort of spacing them around so I've got a good mix. I don't want like all the brownish rocks right here and then all the blue-gray rocks right here. I want them dispersed throughout this whole side of the building. That green has to be lightened some. So I'm going to take that same sky mixture and add some of the light yellow to the spot right there. And I'm going to add some blue to that. Now instead of, it's too dark, so instead of grabbing the white, which a lot of people would do, I'm going to grab more yellow. Because once you start adding white to green, you end up with like the green mist and the sea mist and the, all these colors that aren't really found on land. took a picture of, this old barn last week before sometime, and I've been looking at it, and I keep moving the photograph in my hand trying to find a straight edge in the barn to figure out, you know, which way to start it, and I don't really see. That looks that color because there was white and that blue to start out with, so that didn't work well. My bad. Learn from your mistakes, remember them, don't repeat them. So, I'm gonna get some yellow and a little bit of cerulean blue, the lighter blue. And add those together. Unfortunately, I got some alizarin in there, so that's not gonna work either. One bad thing about this palette is if you put your paints close together, they will run together. So I just need some pure alizarin squirted out here. Not alizarin, I'm sorry, cerulean. Set it off to the side so maybe it won't run into the others this week. Okay. Yellow. Using both yellows. And some cerulean. Not exactly what I'm looking for, so I'm going to tone it down with a little more cerulean. Just a touch of whatever that was. Trying to hold it so you can see it without reflection. I'm going to get some more yellow to lighten it. Looks pretty decent. Looks a lot more like grass than what I had. Oh yeah, that'll work. Bigger area, bigger brush. Remember, did you cut the heat up or off?
I didn't turn nothing on the heat, I just opened the window over there.
Oh,
Are you hot or cold?
I'm hot.
Me too.
What if we open this door?
Well,
Get
the
cross
janitor-
breeze.
The janitor comes by.
No, she's usually pretty quiet.
It was, I had them both open and it felt pretty good, but I was like, I hope it ain't cold. If I leave both open, it kind of works. I didn't want to freeze you out.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm hot all the time usually.
At home we have a heat pump, which means it doesn't put out much heat in the wintertime,
Uh-huh.
but it's supposed to be efficient. So I'm always sitting there with 2 layers of clothes on. My wife has a different thermostat than I do. She'll be sitting there in shorts and a t-shirt, blaming it being hot. Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, my grandmother always froze my papa out. And he'd have on jackets and everything in the house, and then when she passed, you can't even go in there now because it's like 90 degrees.
Oh man, I can't go that high.
Oh, it's, my house is like on 68 year round.
That's not bad.
Our coworker downstairs, like she'll hardly turn the heat on in the winter. Like her house, she said the other day was 55 and she was loving it. I'm like, yeah, I'd be shivering.
My studio, my studio is underground at home, and there's no heat there. So, you know, it stays constant, about 55, 57 all year round.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have some heat. That's what I want. And, I use this up here. So I usually have a heater going right at me in the winter time, and I'll wear like a flannel jacket or something, give me a little bit more warmth. What I'm gonna do is lighten up this driveway, because right now it looks kind of dead.
Looks like fresh asphalt.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a little variation to it, so it doesn't look quite that new. Also gives me a chance to straighten up the bottom of this house. Shadows at the wrong angle, I have to address that. The cool thing about buildings is they usually cast straight shadows, whereas, you know, trees and bushes and things in nature don't normally do that. What I'm doing here, I'm basically concentrating the paint on the tip of the brush. Better?
Better.
Let me look, step back and look. I can look at that. All right. I'm gonna set this one aside to dry a little bit. Got a lot going on in there and can't do much till it dries some. Stuck to the tray there. I'm not gonna start that tree quite yet. This is what I was talking about. I couldn't find very many straight lines in the building, so maybe crooked on the canvas because it's crooked in real life. That's okay too. You don't see a lot of it, but I'm gonna put some sky in first. It's just water here, and some white. And let it dry, so I'll use some of this. You know, I think beginners are kind of scared of trying something different or trying something new. And as I always tell classes, you know, you're not trying to find a cure for cancer. You're just smearing some color around. Go for it. You can't do anything that can't be fixed. So have some fun. See what you can do. That's great, but I need to put it on a little bit thicker. Maybe even that out a little bit better. Just gonna do that. Got a hill coming in here, distant trees, and more trees back here. I'm just going to stumble in or mix it on the canvas. Some white. So I'm getting a different shade of blue up here. And do the same thing over here. Maybe put it a little thicker, make it into a cloud. It's these early preparations of a painting that make for a successful end product. I know that sounds kind of cold, but it's the truth. You know, you gotta have a good foundation for a good house. You gotta have a good foundation for a good painting. And this is part of the foundation we're laying right now. Okay, I'm happy. So, I'm just gonna block in the house, the building, real quickly with some gray. I've got laying here. Basically, I've got a tree line that comes in about like here, and then drops down, and then goes back up into the woods here. That's not exactly half. Close, but not quite. And like I said before, I'm hanging out the window with the camera shooting these things, and there's always cars behind us. No matter how far out in the country we go, all of a sudden there's like a traffic jam behind us. It's amazing. I mean, it's like Stone Avenue over here. You know, there's always cars on Stone. I don't care what time of day or night. I've always wondered, where are these people coming from and where are they going? It's like 6 lanes of traffic just
I know,
constant. It's funny. Okay, so I'm going to move this guy back a little bit. And why I did that, I don't care if you call it good design, good feng shui, or what, but if I put it over here, it would not have had much room to look into over here. This way's got more room to breathe and look into over this way. And of course, the back is sort of sway back like on the horse. and it's rusted tin, so it gives us a chance to work on that some more. Actually, this whole side is in shadow. There are some cast shadows in this one finally. I don't know if we can make them up. Amber, what you having for dinner tonight?
Do what?
What are you having for dinner tonight?
I was thinking maybe meatloaf.
We're having baked spaghetti, one of my favorites.
Baked spaghetti?
Yeah,
Who's the cook, you or her?
she's making it.
Are you a good cook?
I am, but I hate our oven. Well, the stovetop, it's got concentric rings that heat differently. So, you know, you're cooking here and then all of a sudden it comes on out here, or vice versa. So part of the pan is scalding and the other part is at a different temperature. She has mastered it. I have not. It's very frustrating for me. And if it's frustrating, it's not fun. On a normal cooktop, I can whip up the best of meals with the best of cooks. I don't do real fancy cooking, but I do American dishes. I do Chinese, I do Italian.
Yeah, I love to cook. I just hate to clean up.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. Only fair.
Yeah, that's how my mom always said. She's like, I cook, y'all clean. I'm like, okay.
I like meatloaf. She doesn't. Whatever. We were talking the other day, we haven't gone out to a restaurant in over a year now because of the pandemic and all
I
that.
know. Me either. I can't remember last time I went in to sit somewhere.
All of this woods back in here is very dark. So I'm gonna go ahead and color them dark. Good old ultramarine blue and burnt umber. Some variation thereof. Add just a little bit of green to change it up a little bit. It's actually gonna make this building, I can't really call it a barn. It's too small to be a barn. Whatever this building is, it's gonna really make it pop. Because it's got the contrast between the dark behind it, and it's gonna be light, because it's weather-worn wood. Just goes on that. Up in here, you'll see tree tops, so I'm not gonna pick that much further up. This is like an underpainting, the foundation, whatever you want to call it. It's not nearly as dark on the right-hand side, so I'm going to add gray to this mix. I always like to see the sun hitting one side of a scene better than all over, so you get that contrast. And again, there's going to be lots of trees in here, so I'm going to take this up as high. So it goes back in the valley, I guess, around the dam or something.
Yes.
I do too.
I got a text one day about refilling my mail enhancement or something. I was like, I don't need no mail enhancement for one, I haven't even gotten any. Like, I get the randomest stuff.
Weird. I took time yesterday and last night while I was watching a movie to get rid of all those. I had to go back to like early August. The phone had stored them, and I thought I had been, putting them in the trash, getting rid of them, and I hadn't.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me hours to get rid of all these darn things that I didn't want in the first place.
Uh-huh.
Very frustrating.
I know, I'm forever getting random texts and calls about stuff I don't even know what they're talking about. I got it to where my phone will actually silence a call that it doesn't recognize, and it'll just go straight to voicemail.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's helped. Instead of my phone just constantly ringing from random people.
This is a 12 by 16 canvas, which is a good size. I looked at using the smaller one today, and I thought, this is pretty cool composition and everything. I really like all the things that go on, so I'm gonna get bigger. Since it is a winter scene, this green is like way too bright. But I gotta put something in here, so I'm gonna put this. I can always turn it down and paint over it. But again, I like to have paint on everything in the canvas if I can have it. There's actually going to be a lot happening in this area. It's not just like a field. It's several fields, and there's rock outcroppings in here and all sorts of cool things. A couple of old cedars and some of that broom grass. And I'm going to go ahead and paint. It's the right side of the barn, but I'm going to go ahead and paint it dark, and I'll show you why when I get to that. Probably think, well, how do you know what it's doing? Well, I had it drawn in, so that one helps me. And two, this is a little different dark than the others, so that's going to help me. Okay. Let this guy rest some. This is the beauty of doing an ala prima painting. You can move and shove and push and erase and take away and put back on, paint where you want it to be. You don't have to stay in those lines that you've drawn. When you're working on a tall subject matter, turn the canvas sideways like this, so you can incorporate more of the subject matter. If I turned it the other way, I'd have like a picnic tree in here. I didn't want that. I wanted this whole canvas full of this tree. And I'm gonna get it because it's a big beauty. And I don't want it growing out of the bottom of the canvas. I want it growing out of some land. So I'm gonna put some land in here before I do anything. There's a building in here that I'm gonna totally leave out. I don't want any sign of mankind. So I need to mix up color that will simulate or emulate that one-time grassy color we've dealt with before. Sort of a tan. So I got my yellow, my brown, a little touch of orange. Oh, there's my white. I'm in blend side again. I'll put some oil in here. Actually, I'm gonna take about half that white over here. Just cut it off, and then add this to that. I'm already liking it. I'm not gonna mix it up thoroughly. Okay. Gotta get all that green out of that brush. I'll take some more of this brown and add into this. And if it doesn't match exactly, so what? You're not gonna show the photograph beside the painting.
Viva.
Yes. I love them, but they're hard to get started off the roll. I gotta get some cheap paper towels. I ran out last week, and I kept thinking when I left the house today, I feel like I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? I ran through everything. Got here, didn't have any paper towels. So that's what I was remembering, but I forgot. I'm trying to remember, so I wouldn't forget. Same brown, add a little yellow to it, and just a little touch of this. And go with a little cobalt in this party mix here. This is somewhere between gray and brown. of a divide between the values here. Same mix. I'm going to go over this lighter area, but not with a lot of pressure. So hopefully, some of this lighter will show through. Just barely touching the canvas. Yep, it's working. Okay. I'm going to mix up the 3 primaries for my gray. I need to spray out some of the darker yellows. I'm using yellow, cobalt, and alizarin. And you just have to sort of play with these till you get the right proportion. You start off about equal proportion, you should end up with some shade of gray. It's still a little green, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more of red. Green's complementary color. Let's put some more out. My trusty pliers on it here. I used to use my teeth, but I used to think I was into indescribable, not indescribable, indestructible too. Young and dumb. I think that feeling went away when I hit about 45. Slow learner.
Stop using your teeth.
I used to have 4 wisdom teeth and I'm down to 1 now. You know, it took years for those puppies to grow in, and it wasn't very pleasant. I mean, I started in high school and I was out of college before they finally all came in. And of course, the dentist didn't want to pull them because there was nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, I had one that was in and it kept getting like food stuck and it kept getting infected. So they pulled the one and cut the 3 out. They just went ahead and took those 2. But I was in high school, so.
gain. That's not too bad for where I want to be. Sort of a natural gray, which of course trees are. I'm going to add just a little bit of cobalt to the mix here to spray it up a little quicker. The thing about doing the tree this way, I'm not, I'll show you in the back of this canvas. I'm not gonna say, okay, well, I've got this shape of the tree, here's the trunk, here's the land. I'm not gonna fill it in all like this. Basically, I'm gonna do the trunk and the major limbs, and then all the little limbs off of those, and fill up this way. So anything I put on there is going to be a limb of some size. There's not going to be any leaves, dead of winter. There's no foliage. But that way you can see this beautiful blue sky in the sense that it is winter. So that's where I'm going with this project. Scrape the usable paint off my knife here. Occasionally you get so much paint built up on the knives, no matter how well you clean or whatever. What I do, I take one of those razor blade knives or a sharp razor blade and very carefully cutting away from myself, I'll get it close to the metal and you peel off a piece of paint this shape, you know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch thick before you get down to steel again. Kind of hard to do with the plastic, but it's easy with the steel. I'm gonna lay this where I can see it a little bit. Lay it here where I can see it a little bit better. And again, I don't want it dead center. I'm gonna move it over some. So, one, I'm gonna engage the top and the right-hand side with the longer limbs. And it grows out of the ground. It doesn't sit up on top of the dirt. And I do not know what kind of tree this is. It could be an oak, it could be a maple. The trunk isn't huge, but it's got to be substantial enough to hold up all these limbs. And I'm talking hundreds of limbs. I don't know if I'll do it all in class or do some outside of class. You know, once you see 50 of them made, you've seen 50 limbs made. But anyway, you go ahead and block this in. Trees usually have roots up on top of the ground as well as like coming right out of the ground like here. And some of this is going to be in shadow, so it's going to be darker. And again, the acrylic is going to dry darker than I'm putting it on. Sunlight is hitting it right here at the base, almost. So I'm going to lighten this up. I'm not using white, I'm using that tan I left over from whatever. This is actually going to be almost the color of some of the upper limbs. Was it almost silvery? I want to darken around the roots, so I'm going to grab some ultramarine blue to darken this natural gray down some. Cast some shadow back here. Actually, some land back here behind the tree. And there's a dip in the land. And make the dip a little lighter. Warm it up a little bit with some red. Once again, unexpected colors in unexpected places can really help a painting. I'm going to switch off brushes and go to a bigger. For those who have not had me in class or seen one of my videos before, I really like trees. So I'm going to put some time in on this guy and try to do it justice. With the use of a rigger, you have to use some water so the paint flows a lot better. There's a combination of bent branches and sort of tapering out branches. One reason I don't know what this tree is in real life. Maple or hickory or whatever. Amber, have you given the Boardtown a look yet on Netflix?
No, not yet. I've been watching Evil Lives Here.
Evil Witches?
Evil Lives Here
Oh, okay.
on the Investigation Discovery.
Pretty good?
Yeah. It's true stories based on people they were either married to or a brother or sister or something that they can't believe they were evil, but they end up having a secret life and being evil.
Huh. I watched a documentary about the Yorkshire Ripper in England. And he ran amok over there for like 5 years and killed 15 women that they know of. And the cops interviewed him 9 times and didn't think he was a culprit, so they kept letting him go. They had hundreds of people on the case. They had so much paperwork on the case, they had to come in and reinforce the floor underneath. They had that much tonnage of paper. It was
God.
pre-computer.
Yeah, I watched a documentary the other day on Jean Bonnet, and I swear I don't know if they're ever gonna figure that out.
Some of that stuff, you know, you just shake your head and think, how can the human race create such monsters?
I know.
And at the same time, you think, why am I sitting here watching this?
Uh-huh. I know, but I'm so intrigued by it.
Yeah, you know, it's such stuff that you and me and millions of other people never even think of doing.
Uh-huh.
Why this has got so many different colors going on in it is because the way the limb is turned, it's catching more sunlight than its neighbor. This is a little stark, so I'm just going to use my thumb to kind of do a little blend right there. So it's not quite as stark. I like that. I want to darken this farther side though. So I'm going to lay that aside for just a second and get a little flat. I'm going to give all these colors here a little spritz of my water to keep them viable. You may have noticed that I'm doing the limbs sort of the way they grow out of the tree, from the trunk out to the sky. Up. At some point, I'm going to sit down and work on this guy. I may even turn it upside down and pull the branches towards myself. You know, if you don't put much pressure on the brush, you get a real thin, skinny line. If you get carried away, ate too many Wheaties for breakfast or something, you've got to sort of back off because you get too fat of a line. The fat lines don't happen way out at the end of the branch. They taper out to basically nothingness. That's what makes these riggers so great for doing trees. Got limbs that go in front of other limbs, got limbs that go hither and yon. You know, you just have to sort of get the feel for the tree and go with it. There's no way you can get all these limbs on there exact unless you get a grid system and work on it for days on end. You know, doing this little 1-inch square and that little 1-inch square. It just would not happen. Add a little bit of cobalt blue to this tan I had mixed up. Get me a gray going here. If you paint sitting down, they make devices called bridges that fit over a canvas that you can rest your hand and wrist on, so you're not laying your hand and wrist in wet paint. They come in real handy. If you're handy with tools, you can make one out of 2 blocks and a strip of wood. I'm gonna lay this aside here. Amber, if I sit here, can you still see me, or do you have to refocus the camera?
I could just push it down, yeah.
Okay. I want to get some more of these limbs going while I got this mixture going. The other reason I repainted that sky and this tree painting is, remember the splattering I did last week? Well, inadvertently, I splattered that sky.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And it's closer than I thought it was. So, you've got oddball colors in the sky, which I didn't want. So you can see this is pretty liquidy paint. Guess I should have started on this side. That way I'll have a drier spot. Lay my hand later. Good thing about working this thin with the paint, not that much pigment, is it dries like really quickly. Since I'm not blending anything, that suits me just fine. I even broke out that 4-aught brush I bought a couple months ago. It's got the real long bristles and a real skinny diameter. It works beautifully. And you can always vary the color of these as you go along. You can lighten them, darken them, just get a variety of grays and brownish grays going on. Because it all's going to make this painting better. We just finished watching Bridgerton, and it's got the highest audience viewership than anything else on Netflix so far.
Really?
Which really shocks me. But anyway, it was pretty good. And we started Queen's Gambit last night.
I heard that's really good.
About this little girl who's this genius chess player. I mean, even at 9 years old, she took on, I don't know, about 10 high school players and beat them in about 2 minutes.
I've never picked up chess.
I like to play chess. I miss playing chess. I haven't played in years. I'm sure she could beat me in 4 moves. Every once in a while, I'll give a little thicker branch going in here, like a fork, you know, where they come off of a bigger branch and then fork out this way. I'll work on this more when the camera's not on, so I can do it the tree justice. And we'll show you what this 4/0 can do. Amazing thing about these rooters is they hold a lot of paint before you have to stop and reload. This way I embrace my pinky right on the canvas and sort of give my hand a place to be braced. I want to get paint on that. So anyway, a couple more strokes on this and then we'll go back to one of the others. They should be dry. You can even twirl it between your fingers, get a different look. Just by going over top of this, it makes it look like this lighter one is in front of this darker one. Switch off and do a couple of this color. Put this here so I don't run the risk of dropping dirty paint water on my blue sky. But too late. Oh well.
You called it.
Oh well. Let me get a towel real quick. If I was doing foliage, it wouldn't matter. But again, I'm trying to keep that sky pristine. Dog cut his paw badly the other day, so we had to take him to the vet. We can't figure out what he cut it on yet. It was a deep cut, and so the vet sutured him pretty deep, and then did, I don't know how many on the surface, but he ended up with 10 sutures. And I've been taking him back to the vet, and took him yesterday, and the sutures on the surface are basically gone. He's licked them off or split them or something. Because this injury, you know, he's not supposed to be running, he's not supposed to be jumping.
Yeah, how do you do that?
He can't go to the dog park and have fun with his buddies, all this sort of stuff. Well, it's a golden doodle, and you know they're full of energy, and they want to do these things. So the doc gave him trazodone to sort of knock him out, give him some happy pills, and it didn't slow him down any. So he's still running and jumping and doing all that stuff. Anyway, the stitches are gone, and the doc said, "Oh, don't worry, it looks fine. I expected that. It's those deep ones I was worried about." So he gave him some more trazodone. He said, "Come back Friday, I'll take those out. What's left of them?" I said, "Okay."
A few years ago, this lady had posted.
But it's only a year and a half, you know.
Yeah, she posted for a free golden doodle. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, I'm
They're
gonna.
expensive. You better jump on that deal.
Yeah, so I did, and they were an older couple, and they bought her, but were told she was gonna be a mini, but she definitely wasn't. She was like almost a year old, and she was huge. And I ended up taking her because they couldn't handle her, they couldn't control her. They like she'd pull them around when they try to walk her, and so I ended up getting her. Well, my house is maybe a little over 1,000 square feet, and I think if I'd have had her as a puppy,
Yeah.
because they didn't really work with her much. I bought blinds all the time. She had tore up my couch like digging, but was the sweetest thing. Just didn't know how to really behave. I mean, out of control. But my neighbor behind me, I ended up giving them to her, and I still get to see her all the time. But she actually takes her hiking and all that stuff because she has time to really spend with her. Like, I was at work, so she was getting into everything, and I would try crating her, but that was my first experience with a golden doodle. I was like, I thought golden doodles were just chill. Definitely not.
Ours is more golden than doodle. She's got some real curly hair. He's got some real curly hair going down his spine. Other than that, he looks like a reddish golden doodle.
Yeah.
A golden retriever.
Our boss has a labradoodle, a black one, and she's a lot more milder than Zoe, the golden doodle that I had.
But you're right. You got to stay right with them and work with them, and they want to be disciplined.
Yeah.
You know? They want to learn to sit and come and not chew up the furniture and such.
Well, I ended up getting her a crate to keep her in while I was at work. I mean, I had to get one, or you could probably put a pony in it. But, like, the people I had her before didn't really work with her. They were just, I mean, you could tell she kind of ruled them, like pulling them pulling them while they was walking, and, yeah.
That's the retriever.
Uh-huh.
Had a cousin that had a pure black retriever one time, and a truck hit it. And I said, well, did it kill it? He said, no, but his head doesn't look the same. I said, why don't you chain it up when you're at work or something? Because he lived out in the country, and when he first moved out there, he was like the only house for like miles around. Well, now it's a development.
Yeah.
And there's cars zipping through those country roads. He said, well, I figured if he gets hit, it kills him, he's dead. If he lives, he's a survivor. I said, okay, what are you going to tell your kids? He said, I'll think of something. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, I have a border collie, and she's awesome. I love her to death.
Okay, I'm quitting on this tree for today. You're probably all glad to hear that. But anyway, most people do not put enough limbs on their trees. I probably am going to put an abundance on this one. So let me move back to the easel. Move it around here again. Don't want anything falling asleep on you. I've got some of these different rock colors mixed up. I'm gonna use them in this rock wall here. You know, painting should have something for everybody. It should look good at the gallery distance, which is about 6 to 8 feet, and then those who can look closer, it should have what I call cookies, little rewards. Some little detail or some little brush stroke or color combination that you can't see at 6 to 8 feet. Just something that rewards the people who take the time to get closer and look at your work. Don't hear me say that very often. Some of these tan rocks in there. My cousin Kevin, when his daughter was just a baby, he laid her on the railroad tracks. You know, he had the train set up around the Christmas tree. And acted like, the train was gonna run over her and took a picture. And he did this every year. I said, first off, Kevin, you're a sicko. And second, I said, how long are you gonna do it? And he said, until she can kick me. I don't know how many years that took, but I think she finally got to the point where enough, Dad, He's been married a couple of times, and I went to one of the weddings, and he wore a pink cummerbund. And after the wedding, he was more interested in showing off his new Ford truck than talking about the future together with his new bride or any of that sort of stuff. I'm thinking, I wonder how long this wedding is going to last.
Yeah, that sounds promising.
He's talking about, he gave his house to his daughter and her husband and daughter. And together they built a place in the backyard. He owns 9 acres for he and his wife to live in. So I stopped by one time. They live outside of Norfolk, Virginia, and basically they live in a very small space of a garage apartment. And the daughter and son have got the whole house. I'm thinking, this wasn't a fair swap, but they seem to be happy, so whatever. Too much of that same color on that same spot over there. I'll change it up more. Okay, the rock wall is finished there for that house. This, and this are dark roofs. And the chimney on that house is white. So I probably should go over that white again, that little brush I just had. That's a pure white. Straighten up that door, so I'll do that right now. It's basically just pure cerulean and white. This little gable is the same color, so go overhead. Don't want to assume anything in art, like in life. I assume that I could get a straight line right there. And unfortunately, last week I left a goober of paint right there. So it would be hard to get a straight line. I'm going to try it right here. Step back and see if everything's lined up the way it should be. You know, the way I said, you can see a lot by looking. Looks like some dark here. Well, we've been preaching to the choir, but windows almost always look dark, even in sunny days at a distance. What we've got here is window here. mullions, the wood parts between the glass showing that real light yellow, so I don't have to try to go back and paint them. I'm off a little bit. I'm just gonna have to be off a little bit. There's only so much I can do. My hand's not quite as steady as it was 25 years ago. Window on this wall. You know, on damp, humid days, acrylics take a lot longer to dry than on hot, sunny days. But again, you can add some retarder to the paint, or just spritz it with some water, and that will work. There's a window way up here. Windows are sort of like the soul of a house. Like the eyes are the soul of a human. The window right here. Hopefully this will look good from a galloping horse. I don't think I've ever seen a dormer quite like this when it cuts the roof line. Most of them sit up in here. This one sits way down here. Again, this is somewhere in Scotland. Don't ask me where. After about 3 days, it all started to look the same. And there's only 2 windows on this whole side of the building here. Since this is an angle, one pane looks wider than the other. This one down here has 6 lights. 3/3, as they say. there is just a hint of a shadow under some of the windows. So let me go in real fast and make a quick shadow color. Up here on top of the chimney, there's an orange chimney pot type thing. Europeans like. Since I've got some dark made up, I'm gonna go ahead and do these dark roofs. They're not totally dark, there's like, they're shingles, so, well, this one's shingles, I think this is metal. funny, there's no eave or hangover on this back side. Which means there's no shadow here either. Too low, I'm too tall, one or the other. I think it's a satisfying feeling to be able to make something out of nothing, basically. People who sew, people who compose music, I guess choreographers and dancers, musicians, all those creative types, writers, whoever else you can think of.
tell.
Can you step back?
Are you down at Shingles?
Yeah, the light hitting me.
Yeah.
I'm not liking it. I'd rather just have it dark. Problem solved. Goodbye, shingles. I'm gonna cheat and use a piece of masking tape up here. I don't guess it's cheating. Get a straighter line. I'll do the trees on this next week. We're running down on the game clock there. Who you rooting for in the Super Bowl?
I guess Tampa Bay, cause that's, like when we vacation in the summer, we vacation in that area, so I've always called that my second home. And none of my teams are really in the Super Bowl, so figured I'd go with Tampa Bay.
I'm going because I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay just because I don't know how many more years Tom Brady's got in him.
I know, I've always been like, oh, I can't stand Tom Brady, but it's cause I hated the Patriots. Like, he really is the man, doing what he's been doing.
Brush on that real fast. Try to erase this some.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're just about at the end of this session. I hope you all have fun painting this week. Please send us some photographs of what you're doing and questions and comments. We'd love to hear them and see them. So have a good week. Stay inside. It's cold. Paint away. Have fun.